Hey guys, hope you're well. Do us a favour very, very quickly while you're here right now. If you haven't already, please go and subscribe to the Redmen TV YouTube channel. We are on the countdown to 500,000 subs, and yet all the subs we can get, help us get one step closer by subscribing right now. And if you already are a subscriber, thank you very much indeed. Right, let's get to today's clip. This is from the debate show. We discussed, given all the noise that's happening at the moment, all the banter accounts and stuff like that, very, very simple question. Is Darwin Nunez good? And the question is Darwin Nunez good? Now, why am I asking this question? I hear you asking, I hear the people watching or listening along going, why is he asking this now? Essentially, the footy banter accounts are out in force recently. At time recording today, there's been a clip released of Darwin Nunez in training for Uruguay when he has a shot and hits the corner flag with it, and we've seen since day one pretty much down, like, you know, in a friendly game his touch was getting analysed and stuff. The guys on the last fan standing show, the Beth Victor show that we're obviously involved with sometimes, it was Adam and Boovy, and they put him, like, they said he was finished or something stupid like that. It just feels like a bit too much for the lads. However, we can just discuss what we've seen now, what is maybe what we noticed, his strengths, his weaknesses. Let's bring the stats up first, because it's very important to notify. We are working on a very short sample size of what we've seen of Darwin Nunez in a Liverpool shirt. He's made 6 appearances, only 2 of them were starts, combined a total of 259 minutes, Dan. So we can't, either way, there's no judgments to be made really in terms of like definitives, but what we can discuss is what we've made of him so far. So generally speaking, yeah, the floor is yours. What have you made of Darwin Nunez so far? Yeah,
it's an interesting one, isn't it? You kind of got to split it up into 2 segments for me, even though it is such a small sample size, because I think in the Community Shield, what we see, first of all, let me just say, when we signed him, I was over the moon, because I seen enough last year in those 2 appearances against us in the Champions League to warrant going and spending big money on him. I know that sounds silly, and the club will have done far more research than that, but for me, he was essentially untouchable, particularly in the Anfield game. I thought he was outstanding, and Virgil van Dijk, Matip and Konate, whoever went up against him, really struggled to deal with him, and I thought, you've got yourself a genuine goal-scoring threat there with a lot more to his game.
While you're talking, Dan, I'll just bring your stats up on screen, mate, again, from last season. So this is obviously the season at Benfica, which maybe turned Liverpool's heads with 41 appearances, 34 goals, 4 assists. So yeah, it was absolutely frightening. Got 26 in the league, 6 in the Champions League, 2 in the Cup. So yeah. Hey guys, sorry for the interruption. Very, very quick one from us. We're about to show you a clip from this week's Last Fan Standing show. Again, talking about Darwin Nunez. He's the hot topic, isn't he? So yeah, have a little listen to what these 2 guys have got to say about Darwin Nunez.
We've got a problem here, boys.
No, there's no problem. Darwin Nunez is decent at best.
Nunez is finished. I've never seen anything like it. His touch is backwards. It slows the game down. I've never seen anything like it. Honestly, his finishing in the Champions League against Ajax, I know they won the game. I've never seen anything like it. This guy is a Uruguayan Andy Carroll. I'm not just throwing out quips at this point. He is shocking. He's shocking. His touch is abysmal. Honestly, I'm not fit. I'm not a fit footballer. I can't run up and down. My touch is better than this guy, and he costs 85 million quid. It's a national embarrassment.
I told you at the start of the season, this geezer's a fraud.
I knew it. And he's skinny, he's lanky, but he's not strong, and he kind of pushes people over. He's weird.
It's weird. Do you think, man, at the moment Liverpool fans are worried about him? They might not say it, but do you think that given the money they've spent, do you think any of them are a little bit concerned about him?
Well, they love Klopp so much, don't they? That you know, Jurgen Klopp could sign my nan, and ultimately they'd love him, love her even. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them. Klopp can do no wrong, but there will come a point where 85 million quid for this guy will look shocking business. It really will.
So yeah, that is this week's Last Fan Standing clip, and I'm sure you'll agree those 2 idiots were speaking absolute nonsense. So go over at the end of this show and watch the full Last Fan Standing show. The link is in the description below. Tell them we sent you, and tell them that they are being absolute clowns. Right then, let's get back to the show.
It was superb, absolutely out of this world. And I think moreover, the fact he played obviously as centre forward mostly there, he could also play on the left, and we've seen that in that game, particularly at Anfield. He was all over the place. He made life a nightmare, quite frankly, for everyone. So yeah, made up when we signed him. And then Community Shield does well in that game, does well against Fulham when he comes on, and I think we're all thinking, here we go, like we've got a real live one on our hands, a genuine goal-scoring threat who has so much to offer. And it's interesting how after Community Shield especially, Haaland was the one getting a little bit of stick, wasn't he, from the so-called people that you referenced a second ago, because Haaland obviously misses that big chance and Nunez scores his and so on. I think it all turned for Nunez even so early on with that sending off. I think that sending off was a really poor, obviously, moment from him. He gets obviously sent off. He misses the next 3 games. Since he's come back, he just looks like he's trying too hard. And that sounds so simple. Everything he does is an effort. It's forced. His touch is forced. He's so desperate to make an impression and almost make up for what he's already done wrong that everything just isn't working for him. Stuff's bouncing off him. He's snatching at chances when he needs to just be calm and just enjoy himself and just go out there and express and show what he did so well to get us to sign him. So I think he's still a very good player and he's going to be so. But right now, I just think his effort is almost exceeding what it needs to be. He just needs to relax a little bit.
Yeah, you're right in saying like the sending off did him no favours. You were critical of him when he got sent off. I think you were called him a knobhead. Yeah, you did, which is fair enough because it was a dumb thing to do. And Dan's right, it hasn't been the same since. What I'd say, Chloe, and feel free to disagree or agree with me here, is that he looks more raw than I probably expected him to be. Liverpool potentially broke their world record, obviously with add-ons and stuff on a lad. And usually when like we're used to Liverpool, when they spend absolutely massive money, it's Alisson Becker and he just walks in and plays, and it's Virgil van Dijk just waltzes in and plays. That they're the two massive fees that Liverpool spent. Naby Keita was next, and he's again hit and miss, but he was in the team straight away and he looked good. It was the injuries that kind of done Naby in a little bit, and then things went up and down. It feels with Nunez they've bought a lad based on what he could become rather than what he is right now. And again, he's always going to be compared to Erling Haaland because they signed at the same time. Theoretically, in terms of a transfer fee alone, Haaland costs less. Now, obviously, he's on more wages, significantly, and there's all kinds of fees. But it's a fact that transfer fee alone was less than Darwin. Is that, do you think, where some of the frustration comes, and maybe people elsewhere going, look what you could have had? And also, in the past, when you've spent money, it's just been someone who's waltzed in straight away. This lad's obviously like a bit of clay that you have to mould into a Liverpool player.
Yeah, I think there was also a time where there was several teams who actually wanted him, and maybe at the very beginning when we got them, they kind of felt like
Man United was heavily linked, weren't they?
Yeah, like we're gonna absolutely crap on this lad because we want him, we haven't got him, so now we're going to drill into him. And that's fair enough. I've done that several times in football. As I mentioned, Timo Werner, I couldn't tell you how much laughs he gave me when he was missing, basically open goals, and it's what happens. As for Darwin Nunez, I think when he came in, I was like, yeah, looks good. 80 million, that's a bit of a stretch, but at the end of the day, when he puts on the red shirt, let's support him. And if there's one manager who's going to turn him unbelievable, it would be Jurgen Klopp. He turns players who you think are meh or not got the highest ceiling into players who are absolutely unbelievable. And we usually see those deals done, like the Salah and Mane ones, for a lot less money. I think but times changed. Everything's in fluctuating with money in football. And he was technically the next best thing in terms of his age. Obviously, Haaland, I'm excluding from this because he's just ridiculously good. But Darwin Nunez was the next vocal point in terms of someone who you could work on. I was angry with him when he got a red card because it was so stupid. And he's had experience in the Champions League. And how do you not know that that's going to happen in a Premier League side when you're against these type of teams like Crystal Palace? And I do believe, for 3 games without seeing him, he could have really helped us in that United game, especially Bobby was far too deep. We had players who weren't getting anywhere near the box. So in that moment, I was annoyed with him. Let it go. He's back. I like what I see in terms of where he is on a football pitch. So we talk about the chance where he misses against Ajax and then he's telling the crowd to get up. He puts it wide, but he's done well to get in that position. I like the movement that he's done to get in those areas. He just then needs to calm it. How many times have we seen, especially against Everton, he keeps slicing balls, but he's in the right areas, and I can take a lot of positivity from that. Just hopefully it feels like he gets a rush of blood to the head, and that's fine. You're playing at Anfield for Liverpool Football Club. I totally get that. I feel like once the first one comes at Anfield, he can settle and he can just start coming instinctually, because it seems like he's thinking about it too far ahead.
The best strikers though then are ice cold in the box. Mo Salah's, I put Diogo Jota just for Liverpool. Then again around the league, Harry Kane,
Mbappe.
and Haaland. They are just. When the world's crazy, they're not. It's almost a bit like Matrix style when everything can just slow. And I mean, Robbie Fowler for Liverpool, great example of this. And with you on the Nunez thing, he's had. I mean, the stats show he gets in some amazing places, and you're right in saying that. Even off the bench, he finds himself all the time, right place, right time. His issue is at the moment, Dan, like I say, it's what's worried me so far, and I hope it's something that can change. I'm sure it can do with is that the technique isn't great. In terms of his finishing, whether it's rushed or it's the wrong type of finish, or he goes with it the wrong foot, or like I say, was it Palace before he got sent off when he has one at the back post that he just completely slices? He's done the derby, he's had the derby where
does he have a header?
His header which goes nowhere near the goal. I like that's the thing with him. This is where and listen again, we're not making judgments on Nick. He's never going to be good enough, but he's absolutely brilliant. I think that's where there are concerns. I know for a fact I've spoke to a couple of mates of mine who said, like, what have we signed here? And again, it might be early days for that, but that's where that stems from a little bit, is that, I get it. Like I say, I've got on LFC history here, the transfers, and they've said, like, obviously 85.36 million, obviously 21 of that's in add-ons, but the first 4 of those will come after he makes 10 appearances. Well, we're nearly paying that. So already we're getting up towards 70, just like straight away. So 60, 70 million quid straight away. So he's a big transfer fee. It just feels to me, like I say, is that there's a lot of polishing to do, and that can be quite scary because we want to win now. We're a very old team, and we're almost like Jurgen's built his team. To be, when you're this old, have you got time to develop somebody at the same time? I think that's where the frustration perhaps comes in for people. Maybe if there are Liverpool fans who are maybe not giving up on Darwin, but at least a little bit on his case. Yeah,
100%. And I think people are rightly sort of having a go. And it's an interesting one, because was Haaland not up the road doing what he's doing, people might be giving Nunez a bit more leeway. Like we said it upstairs, City have bought the end product, haven't they? They've bought someone who can just walk in there, score goals for fun. We haven't done that, it looks like, with Nunez. He is too helter-skelter at the minute in terms of when he gets a chance, it's almost like it happens at 1,000,000 miles an hour and he's just snatching, it's not quite right. I wonder if we're ever. You mentioned a few players there who the world seems to slow down when they get in the box. I wonder if we're ever going to see that from Nunez. He doesn't strike me as that type of player to me. He looks like he's always going to be a little bit awkward, almost a little bit cumbersome when you watch him. But what he needs to do is he just needs to develop a method of finding ways for those balls to go in. And I do believe he just needs one to go in and he'll be flying. Like his goal, it was against Fulham, wasn't it? That sort of back heel. That was instinctive. That was just off the cuff. Like
it was brilliant.
The Champions League, the Community Shield. I know it's a header from close range, but he does so well.
It's just like as a spur of a moment.
The one where he beats Alisson at Anfield is a worldly.
What about the volley that was disallowed? Was that the one you talk about? He has a worldly volley that was disallowed at Anfield, and that you think, God, that is like almost ingenious. And then he tests Alisson with another one. So he's always going to be that snappy type of finisher. I think. I don't think we're ever going to see him totally cool, calm, and collected in front of goal. But he just needs to learn that there is an in-between, if you like, in that. He doesn't need to be snatching at stuff and rushing. I genuinely put it down to simply he wants to make up for his lost time. Those 3 games that you mentioned he missed and the sending off, he wants to make up for that so desperately that how often do we say he needs something to go in off him and then he's away? I think that might be the case.
It also closes to the Haaland thing's a bit unfair, but it's like I said, it's a bit like Man City went and bought the vase, the beautiful Ming vase, and we've got the clay, and we can make it into that, but we've got to put the work done. Man City have just gone and shelf bought it. It's like we've ordered. That's
always the case, though, isn't it? Just to say, with us and Man City, that is always the case.
It can't quite happen, but like I say, they've You know, they've ordered delivery and got the 3-course meal delivered to them, and we've got the ingredients, and we've got to do it ourselves. There's work to be done in there a little bit. It's just, have you seen enough pros so far to think, I'm confident that this will be all right at the end of it?
I'm always trying to back him because he's a Liverpool player, and there's no way I mean, he could turn out crap, but if he gives me 100%, even though it's 80 million, from a perspective, it's not my 80 million, and yeah, it's going to upset me if he doesn't turn good, but he has my full support, and I believe in him.
Yeah, all he can do is his best.
His best, exactly. And if he gives 100%, I mean, there's players, people argue now, who are in our squad who maybe aren't a Liverpool player at the moment, but if they give me 100%, I can't really say anything. If you're just not Liverpool's level, and we've got,
that's up to the manager to make that decision.
So I've seen positivity. I love his movement, and Steve Plunk says you can't just keep saying that, but I really do. He gets in the correct areas for me. It just seems, like you said, a bit awkward, but sometimes that helps. I mean, Haaland's a very awkward, Haaland's a very awkward, but he just knows how to deal with his body movement a bit better. Haaland, we talk about Haaland, he only gets about 4 touches a game, but guess what, 3 of those are goals. If we could, I think the other situation with obviously Darwin Nunez is, let's be honest, Liverpool haven't been great, and we haven't fed him enough, or we haven't used him to the best of his ability. There were times where we were putting it in the box, and he's winning headers, and he may not be going in the correct direction, but keep doing it. He's winning those headers. He's in the right spaces, and we've just not done it. And I think it's a bit unfair to just isolate him. Maybe it's because of the fee that we've paid for him, and you expect more. Luis Diaz came slotted straight in. He was from the same league. He was less money. And we kind of knew he was going to fit in because he was the build of a Liverpool player. This isn't the build of a Jurgen Klopp player that we've always thought of. He doesn't fit the mould. But it's transition, and a lot of people won't be happy with that. But if we can transition it quickly, if we start creating more and more chances, and the chances and become the Liverpool we know, then he's going to get goals, he's going to get tap-ins, he's going to be a Diogo Jota, where, he'll be in the right area and he'll get 15 for you. So I believe he will, or I at least hope he will come good. I've seen enough positivity. I just really like him in the moments to just maybe somehow take a deep breath before it all comes to him, and also a case of he somehow needs to block out. We mentioned that resilience or whatever it was, and we were all like, it's a friendly. Like, if that's getting to you, I'm a bit concerned. But if he just needs to work hard, get his head down, and the chances will come. He just needs to learn how to deal with it all looks a bit awkward, and he needs to deal with how to make that his own. Yeah, I suppose, Dan, like I say, it's the a fire in your belly but ice in your brains. At the moment, it looked like he's a bit a bit of everything. Like he even was it the derby, got involved in a little something with Tarkowski? Was it? And that's fine. I don't mind that, because Luis Diaz is very a fiery character. But like I say, in the crucial moments, he's able to calm it. On the to basically start putting a little bow in this one, I think personally, feel free to agree or disagree again, is that how we used him in the community Shield is probably what Jurgen wanted. I would be shocked if Jurgen didn't know and the recruitment team didn't think. I don't think they would have expected them to just waltz in, because they know. I think they knew what they were kind of getting. But because the injuries, he was kind of forced in a little bit. I think how we used him in the community was perfect, in that Firmino started a really good game. Liverpool are playing well, which is a huge part of this. Nunez comes on, and like Ruben Diaz is good, and he ragdolled Ruben. He had him on toast, didn't he? Quite a lot throughout the game. There was a chance in the first 5 minutes he comes on and he's through in on goal, and I think he has too long to think about it and puts it straight at Ederson. And it's a good save as well. Yeah, it's a good save. But that I like, because that is what our wingers do. That's what they've been known to do. It was just, how do we replicate that? Because we did it so well against them. That's the point, Dan, is that I think Jurgen would have loved to have Bobby and Jota starting every game up front, and then Nunez comes on for half an hour and works himself into the team, and he's in a team that's playing well. Before you know it, remember he asked before the Palace game, why is he starting? I was like, well, because there's no one else. Everyone's injured, or literally there's no one here. Coming on the derby against similar reasons, like, well, what else are we going to do, kind of thing. And it looks to me like if Liverpool were flying like they were in the community, cast our man back. And again, I understand it's essentially what's a glorified friendly, but we were flying. They were a good side as well for a lot part of it. We were flying, and it was able to go right. It looks to me like
we're trying to mould him, but we're trying to fix other things at the same time. You know what I mean? Like the midfield has been an issue. There's been too many injuries. He had to play a bit too much. It feels like it's all worked against him a little bit, which is why I think like making fast, I don't know, like
assumptions
right now, like he's shit or he's good. You can't do it. I think it's fair to say we'd have all liked a bit more, but we're not so much giving him a pass, but we can understand the reasons why perhaps hasn't just gone like smooth sailing so far.
Yeah, 100%. How many of the signings that we talked about before, the successful Klopp signing since he's been at Liverpool, have had time to bed into the side? Like, how many have we not seen for weeks on end? And you think, what's going on here? And all of a sudden they're in. That might well have been the case with Nunez had he been allowed to do so.
Like Fabinho didn't get a kick, did
he? Especially somebody who was such a throwaway from what we've been used to with Firmino, and even Jota to a certain extent. He's such a physical presence that you have to play differently with somebody like Nunez in the side, and we've not been allowed to do that. I think we're still learning on the job how to use him, and all of a sudden he was starting games. It's far from ideal, really. And I think the main point here, and Chloe mentioned it, I was going to say, is that Liverpool aren't playing particularly well this season. So again, how many of the players, you mentioned Luis Diaz came into a side that was going for the quadruple. Like, that was a side that was doing well anyway, you know what I mean? So Diaz's sort of integration into that was pretty straightforward, and even at times we saw him being a bit of not a loose cannon, but being a bit of a law unto himself, in terms of like he could just go and play and express himself, because we were so good that we could afford to have someone like Diaz just going rogue and just running forever, you know what I mean? But with Nunez, things aren't clicking generally, so to expect the new lad, still a young lad, to come in and suddenly hit the ground running was pretty much impossible, and that's how it proved. For me, overall with Nunez, I can't get my mind away from what I've seen against us, and I know I keep going on about that, but I thought it was absolutely out of this world. And that isn't just a flash in the pan. Like, you don't score them goals last season if you haven't got something about you. I still believe, and Jurgen Klopp generally doesn't sign bad players. Like, you know, we'll be okay with Darwin Nunez. We just need to improve ourselves, start playing our own football, and learn how to use him better. But I do believe it's going to happen, and I think it'll happen this season. I don't think we've got a long-term 2-year wait or whatever. I think this will happen this season.
Is he good?
Yes, I think he's good, yeah.
Is he good?
Yeah.
Okay.
You?
Probably. Probably. Yeah, probably. I'm not going to say definitely he is, because there's been enough for me to go, like,
it's difficult.
Someone can be good, though, and not Liverpool level.
He's 22. Like, I'd expect him to have a better first touch. Sure, things like that. But I am real, and I said I think after the Fulham game, like, I think he'll score goals for us. I do.
Yeah. Because
he gets himself, you mentioned before, he's always in the right place and stuff. It's just, we're going to have to take some adapting to, because he looks like a lad. I don't think we're going to get much of Darwin Nunez in the build-up to goals, which is sound. Erling Haaland doesn't for City. If he scores, brilliant, absolutely sound. But again, I don't want to compare the two. It's whether, my worry is at the moment is that, are we a side that can afford to have a player who just does that? Yeah, and we're not.
We're not at all.
But there's enough, like I say, I think probably, I would say probably.
Do you not think, though, in that Fulham game, and the Fulham game, we weren't great, but there was many individual errors. Yeah. In that game, in the City game, I thought our front three were a lot closer together than what they've been in previous games. I mean, the reason that we scored those 2 goals is because him and Salah are so close together. Yeah. We haven't really seen that. And also, like you said, we can say he's played, you know, he's came on in 6 games, only started 2. It's like less than 3 full games, that, isn't it?
Yeah, so, he's played like 260 minutes. Like I say, I think making judgments on it, on a 0 is, I am completely
done,
like the house is on fire, get rid now. And a 10, I'm more towards the 7, 8. But you would like, when you spend, I think it's undeniable, when you spend your world record fee on a player, or your club's record fee, you just want it to be a 10. Like, the second we saw Ali, we're like, and the second we thought, we're like, now I get it, ages and development. But I think that's where the concern probably comes from. But again, let us know, guys, again, if you're watching this, in the comment section below, or get on the socials, just let us know your thoughts on Darwin Nunez. Hey, hope you enjoyed that one. If you want to watch the full debate show live, it is brilliant. Go over to redmenplus.com. Not only do we speak about Darwin Nunez, we ask who is the most technically gifted Liverpool player who we've ever seen, and also discuss who is Liverpool's most important player right now. So yeah, 3 hot topics, 3 massive discussions. Get yourselves involved. The debate show is streaming right now on redmenplus.com. Hey everyone, hope you enjoyed that show. If you're looking to get yourself some amazing Liverpool merchandise, do go and check out redmenmerch.com. Just like this t-shirt I'm wearing, and tons more. It's all available for you right now over on redmenmerch.com. Check it out.